a 19-year-old skipped Double-A and Triple-A, homered on the first big league pitch he saw, and years later signed the largest contract in sports history. And still, his team went home on September 28th. This is the paradox of Juan Soto. We'll show you how a roster can waste a generational on-base engine, pitch by pitch and decision by decision. What convinces a front office to send a teenager from high A straight to the show? It starts with a simple belief. If your at-bat math beats minor league pitching, it can survive major league speed. The question is whether you trust that belief enough to burn the ladder. On May 20th, 2018, Washington answered yes. That kind of move is rare. Teams usually stack tests like classes: AA for tough sliders, AAA for travel grind, and veteran guile, because the majors punish every hole. Sequencing is tighter. Scouting is sharper. Miss by an inch and you get carved. So the tension was real. Could his timing hold when fastballs jump and breakers land for strikes? Would he chase when the count flipped? Those are the traps that swallow young bats. The league plays cat and mouse, and it plays fast. That's the point of the upper levels. Rehearse the trap before the show. He didn't wait long to answer. In his first start, first pitch he saw, he drove the ball 422 feet the other way for a 3-run shot. Opposite field, first swing, big league park. That swing wasn't brute force. It was proof that his move to the ball arrived on time and on plane, and that he chose the right pitch to go after. You don't fake that red. The barrel told the truth. The next signal came from the lineup card. By June, he was hitting cleanup. That spot isn't a pat on the back. It's a statement about run creation managers pencil that name there when they trust that the at-bat will end in damage, or in base traffic that leads to damage. For a teenager, that's a loud vote. To understand how odd this path was, look at the usual ladder. Most hitters sit in AA while pitchers spam them with breaking balls until the swing decision holds up. Then AAA adds a new layer, older arms that can locate 4 pitches and a schedule that tests your focus. If you still win counts there, you go face the real thing. By jumping the line, Washington gambled that his approach already met those standards. Why take that risk? The calculus blended context and skill. The club needed a live bat in a contention window. Injuries opened a hole. And here was a hitter whose presence shrank pitcher margins. When a batter refuses chase and punishes mistakes, every at-bat drags the pitcher toward the zone, where the cost of a miss goes up. That helps everyone behind him. It lengthens innings. It raises pitch counts. It turns a lineup over. The early days turned into a pattern. He spoiled tough pitches with 2 strikes. He let borderline sliders run off the plate. He didn't rush. The plate looked smaller for the man on the mound and bigger for the man in the box. That's how you survive the scouting report cycle, when teams adjust and dare you to break your plan. He kept the plan. Fans felt the shift too. A teenager stepped in and carried the poise of a vet. No flinch in full counts. No panic after a bad swing. You could see the helmet nod, the small reset, the next pitch hunted on his terms. The mythology started right there, not in volume, but in control. The kid with the plan and the poise. Here's why that matters beyond the moment. A debut's loud swing can be luck. What happens next tells you if the operating system works at MLB speed. Pitchers tried to double up off speed. They tried elevated heat. He didn't bite much. When they had to throw a strike, he was ready. That's the loop you want in a young star. Take, punish. Compare that to a typical call-up. Many arrive with a hot bat, then hit the AA/AAA wall in the majors, chasing spin, late on velocity, living in 0-2. Their clubs send them back for reps. This path went the other way because the weakest link, swing decisions, already looked like a strength. The body could catch up while the head protected the line. The payoff is simple to say and hard to do. Soto's debut wasn't a cameo. It was a system uploading to MLB speed in real time. The game tested his rules, and his rules held. The lineup trust grew. The at-bat stacked the front office's bet on process over ladder looked sound. But a debut is a spark. Can a rookie year sustain the fire when the league turns the volume up and starts aiming where you live? How does a leg kick after a take start a league-wide argument? By turning a quiet ball into a message. In 2018, a teenager took pitches, then answered with a stomp, a hip sway, a glare. It was theater with purpose, and the room heard it. Pitchers saw a challenge. Fans saw a line crossed. The count kept moving his way. The rookie line was loud on its own. Reach base at an elite clip, drive the ball 22 times, hold up over 116 games, but the Soto Shuffle gave those numbers a voice. He didn't invent post-take swagger. He turned it into a routine. After a close ball, he reset with the legs, wiped dirt, locked eyes. It became a tell and a taunt at once, like a quarterback's hard count drawing a flinch. The act said, "I saw it, I'm not chasing, and now you have to come to me." To understand why that irked so many, you have to see how it fed the at-bat. The shuffle wasn't a celebration, it was a feedback loop. A disciplined take on a tough pitch moves the count. A favorable count bends the pitcher's plan. More strikes inside the zone mean more swings at good pitches. More swings at good pitches mean louder contact. The routine sat in the middle, reminding everyone who controlled the traffic. Pitchers hated the reminder. Umpires noticed the body language. Fans split down the middle, swagger or show up. But the effect on the fight in the box was simple. The move slowed the moment without slowing the swing. It bought breath. It planted doubt. When the next pitch needed the plate, the advantage flipped back to the hitter. That is leverage born from patience. Walks aren't passive. They're pressure. A 4-pitch walk is a small collapse on the mound, a sign that the plan lost conviction. And when a rookie walks a lot, veterans take it personally. The mound wants a chase to validate the previous miss. When it doesn't come, frustration leaks in. Miss again, and the inning grows teeth. You could see that cycle repeat all season. Play out a typical sequence. Borderline slider down and away. He lets it go. Shuffle. Now the count tilts. Fastball tries to nick the edge. Off again. Shuffle. With the count in his favor, a breaking ball has to start in the zone, or a heater has to risk the heart. That's where the damage shows up. The line drive to the gap, the pull side lift when a fastball leaks, the opposite field rocket on a hanging breaker. The show draws eyes, but the choices do the scoring. Voters notice the balance. He finished second in Rookie of the Year, and the term that hung around him wasn't raw power, it was on base. He stamped a new template of star value, OBP as a headliner, not a side note. For years, baseball praised the fearsome slugger who accepted strikeouts as the cost of thunder. This teenager flipped it. He posted an on-base mark that sat with the best in the league and still punished strikes. That's scarcity at the highest level. As for the mechanics behind it, they added to the profile. With 2 strikes, he made small, smart tweaks. Wider base, lower set, hands calm, to guard the zone without giving up damage. He could foul off a tough pitch, breathe, and start the count game again. That's what rattled veteran arms. It wasn't only the blast, it was the refusal to give away the at-bat, the sense that every pitch had to win on merit. You saw the audience take sides. Some loved the edge. Others called it disrespect. The mound answered back now and then, but the confrontation masked a simpler truth. The shuffle created a rhythm that favored him. After a take, he settled. After a miss, the pitcher sped up. One controlled tempo, one chased it. Over 9 innings, that gap shows up in runs. The real shock wasn't the move itself. It was the age of the person doing it. A teenager dictating pace to veterans with a leg kick and a stare. He turned walks into weapons and weapons into crooked numbers. And while the shuffle grabbed the clip, the wins came from the math behind it. Swing at strikes you can drive, refuse the rest, cash the mistake. So the payoff lands here. The shuffle is theater. The substance is swing decisions that tilt series. He made the box a stage and the count his script, one take at a time. Next step. The lights get hotter, the scouting gets tighter, and the plan gets tested in October. How does a 20-year-old own the sport's tightest stage? By showing that the same quiet rules that worked in May still hold when every pitch has a scouting meeting behind it, every miss gets replayed, and every heartbeat is loud. His 2019 regular season set the table. An on-base machine with power, runs driven in, and the kind of count control that drags pitchers into the zone. Then came the run through October, where at-bats shrink and reports grow teeth. In the wild card, he flipped a late deficit with a swing that shot a game into a new script. The message was simple. The plan survived noise. October punishes guesses. You face the same arms twice in a week. They know your holes, or what they think are holes, and they hunt them. Nerves shave bat speed. Sliders look like fastballs until they don't. This is where a young hitter usually learns pain. He didn't blink. He worked counts, forced strikes, then drove the ones that bled into danger. World Series Game 1 is where the legend spikes. First night on that stage, he leaves the yard off an ace and stacks a 3-hit night with 3 runs batted in. That's not luck on a grooved fastball. That's a read on timing windows, a move that meant velocity, and a barrel that stayed level long enough to punish both firm and soft. He kept doing it in later games, and when the series tilted late, he still found clean contact. When everything tightened in Game 7, he didn't chase the moment. He stayed with the count game that got him there. In the 8th, he shot a single that turned station to station into scoreboard movement. It was small in shape, big in effect. That's the point of trust and plan. When others speed up, you stay on script. Clutch gets talked about like magic. It isn't. It's courage to keep the same plan when the volume rises. He didn't swing harder. He didn't expand just to be the hero. He tracked spin out of hand, let borderline pitches pass, and waited for the one with a seam of plate. Over and over, you saw the same sequence. A breaker that started near the edge and fell. A calm take. A fastball that tried to nibble. Another take. Then the mistake that hung or leaked back to the middle, and the swing that cashed it. Watch one of those plate appearances frame by frame. First pitch, slider just below the knees. He freezes, ball 1. Next, elevated heat, an inch too high to drive. Ball 2. Now the pitcher must choose exposure, challenge up and risk lift, or drop in a strike that starts in the zone. He chooses the latter. The swing is short and direct, through the big part of the field. That is a model, not a mood. Awards followed. The Babe Ruth Award stamped what the eyes already saw, the leap from hype to heavyweight. It recognized the full arc of his October, power when a swing had to change a game, and patience when the best move was to load the base paths for the bat behind him. He didn't need a different identity for the month. He needed the same one, sharper. Then 2020 hit, and the shortened season turned the calendar into a sprint. He won the batting title, sat atop the league in getting on base, and in the full damage package by rate. Those are not empty lines. They reflect a hitter who knows balls from strikes better than almost anyone and can still do extra base harm when the pitch dares the plate. One year saw the model work under the brightest lights. The next year saw it rule the regular season. To understand why this sticks, think of a safe with 2 dials. One is discipline, the other is damage. Most hitters can turn one. Few can turn both at once without breaking rhythm. He spun both. When pitchers tried to bait chase, he walked. When they tried to steal an early strike, he hit it hard. The safe opened, runs poured out. The payoff is clear. His approach scaled to October and to chaos. The planning beat the moment. The skill beat the scouting. When the league threw speed, spin, and pressure, he answered with the same choices that made him a problem at 19. Only now, it carried a trophy weight and a batting crown to match. Which makes the next turn, contracts, control years, and front office math over parades, harder to swallow. What deal is so big it reshapes 2 franchises and a player's price tag? The one where a front office decides certainty is too expensive, prospects are the new currency, and a star with prime years left becomes a mid-season marketplace. In 2022, the clock started when he declined a 15-year, $440 million extension. Washington faced a choice teams hate. Pay early at a record level or trade the best bat they'll see for a decade. They chose the latter, sending him and a switch-hitting first baseman to San Diego for a wave of youth and a big league bat. It was volume for value, a kit of pieces designed to reset a roster in one stroke. Was it wise to move a once-in-a-generation hitter still under control? That's the tug of war, prospect risk versus the certainty of elite production. Prospects bring years of cost control and hope. A proven middle-of-the-order force brings runs in ink, not pencil. You can spread payroll with the haul, upgrade multiple spots, and dream on ceilings. But you also hand the other club the one skill the sport can't fake. A hitter who wins pitches at a historic rate. San Diego got the star power and the pressure that comes with it. In 2023, he answered the availability question by playing every game. He hit for average in the mid-.270s, put 35 balls in the seats, drove in over 100, and led the sport in walks with 132. That's the same pattern we've tracked. Discipline that feeds power. And yet, no postseason. A tough outcome for a club that loaded up. Here's why that happens. Even when the headliner produces star bats, raise your floor. They lengthen innings, push pitch counts, and tilt matchups. But they don't fix leverage on the mound or plug lineup holes. When late leads depend on a shaky middle relief group, or when the bottom third can't turn base runners into runs, the value of those walks and long at-bats leaks away in the 7th and 8th. Think of a few game states. He reaches twice with free passes and a hard single. The next 3 plate appearances behind him yield a pop-up, a strikeout, a grounder. In the 9th, a 1-run edge flips when a setup man misses up and gives up a 2-run double. The star did his part. The system couldn't cash or close. Over 162, those tiny breaks decide everything. Then came another pivot. In December 2023, San Diego moved him again, this time to a team built for stage and scale. The return was arms and a catcher, a bet on depth and future innings. In New York, the bat surged. He hit .288, reached at a .419 clip, slugged .569, and crushed 41. He led the league in walks and on base, and he authored an October swing in Game 5 of the ALCS that sent his club to the World Series third in MVP. Another year of the same thesis, his at-bat math travels, and it wins when the lights are bright. October proof changes markets. It doesn't just boost WAR spreadsheets, it sells tickets. It stabilizes TV inventory. It gives you a face for a decade. Executives price the bat, the brand, and the gate. When you can anchor an order and a business plan, you don't negotiate in the same room as everyone else. The number climbs because the value reaches beyond the box score into every slice of the enterprise. By December 2024, the number did more than climb. It broke scale. He agreed to a 15-year, $765 million contract with a $75 million signing bonus, the largest deal in professional sports. That's the ultimate bet on a repeatable edge, the pitch decision that survives era and opponent. The Mets didn't buy a hot season. They bought the most bankable skill in hitting and locked it for a generation. To understand the size of that move, think of a skyscraper's foundation. Once you pour it, everything above has to align with it. Steel, glass, weight. A mega deal works the same way. Your bullpen choices, your bench bats, your defense up the middle, all of it needs to complement the core piece. Get the links right, and the structure stands through storms miss and the top floors sway. So the question moves from price to payoff. What does a franchise do around a centerpiece like this to turn patience into wins? The biggest bat is in place. The check cleared. Now the paradox. The biggest bat. The biggest check. Can it buy wins? How do you lead the league in OBP and still call your season a failure? You do it when getting on isn't the finish line, it's the start of a chain, and the links behind you snap under weight. The year began like a headline. First night in Queens, he left the yard. Weeks later, he logged his 1,000th hit at 26. By June, he stacked another milestone, most multi-homer games before turning 27, and he took home NL Player of the Month after a tier that looked like a cheat code, a .322 average, a .474 reach rate, and slugging north of .700 with 11 shots. It was the full package we've seen before. only now in a new shade of blue and orange. But when the calendar flipped past June 12th, the team sagged. From that day on, they played sub-.500 ball by a wide margin. The last day told the story with no spin. They needed a win and help. The help came. Their bats didn't. A 4-0 loss sent them home at 83-79. For a club built to play long into October, that sting lingers. He did his part and then some. Career-high home runs, a triple-digit RBI total, more than 120 runs scored. He mixed power with theft on the bases, clearing the 30-30 bar in early September. He led the league in getting on and in free passes, 127 by season's end. On the page, it reads like an MVP case. .263 average, .396 on base, .525 slug. If you value the repeatable skill, win the pitch, control the count, crush the mistake, this is it in ink. Here's why that still didn't move the standings enough. Walks don't score by themselves. OBP is an engine. It needs cylinders behind it. When the bat on deck doesn't lift the ball or when contact dies in the gap, those base runners strand. Turn that into 3 nights a week and you bleed. Wins you should bank. The stat sheet loves patience. The scoreboard asks, who drives him in? Watch how late summer played out. 7th inning, tie game. He reaches on 4 pitches. Next man pops to shallow left. Another fan's on a slider. Inning dies on a routine grounder. Another night, he draws 2 passes and laces a single. The bullpen inherits a 1-run edge in the 8th, misses up, and a double into the corner flips it a week later. The same script. Lead-off walk, deep count, no extra base hit behind him. Then a leak from the middle relief group turns a narrow lead into a loss. 1 game feels like bad luck. 10 games is a pattern. Roster build showed its seams. The rotation's 4th and 5th turns stretched the pen early. Arms with good stuff but thin command lived in the heart. On bad nights, middle relief swung from sharp to shaky within days, and managers chased matchups that weren't there. Down the order, too many easy outs meant one singular hitter saw fewer pitches to drive with men on, or when he did reach, the rally stalled. Over 162, those leverage losses stack. High leverage is just a name for the innings where mistakes cost you a half win at a time. That's how a star ends the season and calls it a failure. It wasn't self-pity. It was ownership. He did the math and looked at the only line that matters in the end. If the group doesn't play in October, the personal line is a nice frame on a wall, not a banner. That mindset is rare, and it matched the way he plays. Count by count, choice by choice, no bailout swing to chase a feel-good stat. Even in the wreckage, the sport recognized the bat. He took home a 6th Silver Slugger. That matters because the voters are coaches and managers who game plan him. They saw the same thing you saw all season. A strike zone read that forces the pitcher toward risk, a swing that punishes when risk leaks over the plate, and a base path threat that turns single swings into 2 bags of pressure. To understand the paradox, think of a great point guard on a team with shaky shooters. He can break down a defense and create clean looks all night, but if the corners clang, the box score glows while the standings sag. The fix isn't to dribble more, it's to put the right finishers in the right spots and close out on defense when the game tilts. So the payoff is tough and clear. The individual arc stayed pristine. The team arc crumpled under leverage. The lesson sits in plain view for any front office staring at a mega check and a franchise player. You don't buy wins with one bat. You buy a clean edge, you must convert with depth bats and laid-outs. So what's the rule you can use to judge mega deals? What if mega contract value lives or dies in the innings your star doesn't touch? You pay a fortune for the one bat you trust, then watch games swing on the 7th and 8th, on a relay throw, on a plate appearance that belongs to someone else. That's the blind spot a lot of price tags miss. To understand the Icarus angle, think of one singular arc soaring higher while the wings around it melt. Individual excellence rises, on base, power, discipline, but high leverage exposes thin seams in the system. Late innings compress your margin. Pitch selection still wins for your star, but the outcomes now hinge on bullpen leverage, team defense that turns contact into outs. base running that takes 90 extra feet, and the coin flips of sequencing luck. When those links fail, the glow from one player can't cover the dim corners. Traditional metrics praise the line. WAR, OPS, walks, all of it. But when the season keeps handing you one-run games, the scoreboard favors teams that solve late pressure. That's where leverage lives. The sport even has tools for it. Leverage Index tells you how hot the moment runs. Tie game, runner on, late inning, the number spikes. Win probability. Added captures the swing. What changed in your odds after that ball in play? That pitch, that decision. Watch where non-star events stacked WPA in the wrong column. A misplayed hop with 2 outs in a high LI spot. A missed location from a middle reliever that turns a 60% win into a 40% A, bases loaded at-bat from a light bat that ends with weak contact. The Stars' earlier walk added a sliver of win probability. The bullpen's next pitch erased it in bulk. That's leverage in action. Here's the heuristic you can use. If your star's best skill is getting on, your next dollar must buy timely power and late outs. Not vibes, not names, skills. Power that cashes traffic in the 6th through 8th. A swing that lifts, not rolls over. And on the mound, arms that hold the edges of the zone under stress. Missing barrels, not just bats. When the count tilts. There are models for this contenders who housed an elite on-base engine, built a runway behind it, a 2-hole bat with lift, a cleanup hitter who punishes mistakes, and a bench piece who mashes one side of the platoon. They paired that with a back-end chain. Setup, fireman, closer. So the run you minted from patience didn't leak away an inning later. The pattern is simple. Turn base runners into extra base hits, then protect the lead with swing and miss in traffic. Here's why the contract calculus should reflect that $765 million isn't paid for highlight homers alone. It's for certainty in the sport's most repeated event, the pitch decision. Every at-bat begins with yes or no. He wins that micro battle more than almost anyone, so you build around that certainty. Surround it with bats that finish the inning and arms that slam the door when the game tilts high on the index. If you want a quick frame for front office work, use a leverage ladder. Step 1. Add one high leverage reliever with command and a put-away pitch. That single arm can swing a handful of toss-up games by owning the biggest moments. Step 2. Add a platoon masher with pull side lift who feasts on the handedness your star draws when teams try to work around him. Step 3. Add an up-the-middle defender with clean first steps and strong turns to shave base hits into outs. Those 3 moves aren't glamour. They are variance control. Map a hypothetical fix. One bullpen piece who posts strong WPA in tight spots takes a loss here and turns it to a hold there. One bat who punishes mistake fastballs behind the on-base monster flips stranded traffic into crooked numbers. One shortstop or center fielder who turns a medium hop into an out, keeps pitch counts down, and prevents the extra 90 feet that breaks innings. Over a season, that's 3 to 5 wins without touching the Stars line. This is the Icarus Rule in front office form. Grade mega deals by ecosystem fit. Leverage, roster links, variance control. Don't judge the bat in isolation. Judge how the roster converts his skill into runs and preserved leads. When you see the late innings hold, when you see the runners score, when WPA stacks without drama, the contract starts to look like a foundation rather than a statue. And that leaves Soto at 27 with time, money, and a long runway, if the build around him learns to turn clean pitch decisions into leverage wins. What if I told you a once-in-a-generation on-base engine can't carry dead space? Value peaks when patience turns into leverage wins. Traffic cashed in, late innings locked down, thin spots covered before they burn you. Here's why that matters to you. When you judge mega contracts, judge the roster around them. Tell me below the one singular move that would have flipped the 2025 Mets. Bullpen stopper, platoon bat, or up-the-middle glove. Now that you're thinking leverage, stay with this series. Next up, we break down how one bullpen arm shifted a contender's season. Check out the video on your screen. If you like this video, like and subscribe for 1,000 years of luck.